Hi everybody, and welcome back to our final lesson here in the sequence that we're talking about building drum solos and how to really engage your audience. Again, before I get into anything, I just want to thank everybody for participating, and your comments and questions have just been awesome. It's like an infinite amount of fuel for lessons and different ways of practicing. So again, can't thank you guys enough for that. We're getting very close to the launch of the Drummer's Almanac, so I'm super excited because I've been working on this website for about 3.5 years, and I finally have it about where I want it. For those of you that haven't seen the other two videos in the sequence, if you're just seeing this one for the first time, or if maybe you kind of glanced through the first two and now you're up to this one and you didn't really catch the first two in this sequence, going back, the first lesson was about the mental aspect and mental triggers that work when you're playing a drum solo. The things that you think about aside from the technique, all the musical things. The second aspect is the physical aspect. You know, how well your body can actually pull off the things that your brain comes up with. This lesson is going to be more about the technique. Now, technique is such a broad topic. I mean, there's so many things we can do. And this goes into, of course, the whole idea of being able to practice, knowing what to practice, and focusing on the right stuff. The biggest thing that you have to understand about technique is a means to an end. The end, of course, is being able to just play great and express yourself without thinking about it. Practice technique so you never have to think about technique. And that is such a huge statement to make, because if you think about it, everything you do has to be some kind of technique. You have to know what you're playing, you have to know what the notes are, you have to know what drums you're hitting, you have to be able to do it fast, you have to be able to have the physicality down. Everything's got to kind of work all like an engine for you to be able to just perform and play without thinking. Now, it's such a huge topic that I couldn't possibly cover everything here. So we're just going to talk about some basic things. And the basic idea of technique, if you break down drumming to its sum core, the sum of all its parts, is three things. And I've done videos on this, but in case you haven't seen those videos, those things are rhythm, accents, and sticking. You could go ahead and talk about speed, development, which you talk about physicality, that kind of stuff. You could talk about coordination, but all that stuff, they're derivatives. In other words, they're extensions of rhythm, accent, and sticking. And what I mean by that, for example, coordination. What is coordination? Coordination is being able to play different rhythms with different hands. Okay? So if I turn around and played something like this, that takes a certain amount of coordination. I have to be able to move this hand this way and this hand that way. But if you did that all on one surface, basically you're playing eighth notes with the right hand and then flamming on the 2 and the 4. Therein lies your rhythm and your sticking. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a short clip from another video that I had, but I want you guys to actually see the breakdown that I do in this video of rhythm, accents, and sticking. It's actually an older video I did back in the day when I first started shooting videos. And initially it was just for my students, so I just went ahead and put it up on YouTube. The idea of breaking those categories down and then practicing each one is what's going to make your playing, to the moon. It's really going to take it to that next level. Okay, so throughout all these exercises, I'm always keeping the time. There's always the click going on, so when you try to do this on your own, make sure that you do it to a metronome. It's a totally different experience if you do it with a metronome versus without a metronome. Here we're just talking about rhythm. We're not talking about accents, we're not talking about sticking. So the sticking is consistent and the accents are consistent. Notice as I move through the table of time, the notes are sounding faster. It's getting faster and it's sounding more intense. So as we build through the rhythms, it's going to give you a more intense sound while keeping the time constant. Okay, so here's the accenting exercise. And once again, I'm going to keep the rhythm consistent, so it's just going to be 16 notes. I'm going to be keeping the time with the metronome and moving the accents around the drums. You notice as I'm accenting around that I'm keeping the snare drum nice and consistent. That's the drum dead center to me. Staying very quiet, very consistent, and then the accents are on the tom-toms or the cymbals or the bass drum with a loud and intense shot, while everything on the snare drum stays nice and quiet. So we're getting that loud and soft sound to us. As I change the groups of notes that I'm accenting, it's going to give me a faster sound in terms of the accents, even though the rhythm is staying the same. There's 4 feelings associated with sticking: single strokes, open rolls, closed rolls, and flams. Sticking is the biggest category, so we're going to try to keep the rhythm the same, keep the accents the same, and then just move the sticking thread. As I'm going through these stickings, notice the difference between an open roll sound and a closed roll sound. An open roll is a much looser sound, where a closed roll is a much tighter, buzzing sound. Another great way to use sticking is to use top and bottom exercise. That is replacing a hand with a foot. It cuts your workload in half by not having to do everything with your hands. The great thing about sticking is sticking gives you the illusion of going fast, because the sticks are doing all the work for you. You're not really pushing your muscles. So if you notice, it looks like I'm moving very quickly, but not working very hard at doing it. Talking about a drum solo situation, I'm going to start combining all 3 of these concepts together: rhythm, accents, and sticking. Notice how it seems like the gears are changing. I'm getting faster, I'm getting slower. It doesn't seem like I'm working too hard because I'm using sticking. There's accents. I'm moving everything around. I'm hitting spots off the beat. faster the click, but that's because of where I'm placing the accent. It gets faster and slower because of what I'm doing with the rhythm. It's easy to get around without looking like I'm working too hard because it's sticking. So that just about sums up the whole idea of the way I go about practicing drum solo technique. Putting all these three ideas together of the mental aspect, the physical aspect, the technical aspect, and really making it all flow together seamlessly is, you know, it's an endeavor. It's something that you got to sit there and commit yourself to. But if you decide to do it, I'd love to help you in any way I can. That's why I created the drummersalmanac.com. It was the whole idea of being able to put those technical exercises and all the derivatives of it in one place where you could come, you could log in, you could get your practicing in, you could learn what you need to learn, you could do your play-alongs, whatever it is, and you could focus. That's really the end result of anything. And that's what I think separates my site from some of the other stuff that's out there, because, you know, some of the stuff is just about how-to. Now there's a bunch of how-to and drum lesson type of websites. Some of them do one-on-one, some of them are a bank of lessons, some of them are just random drum clinics, you know, and that, again, all that's fine and all that's great information. I mean, you could even go up on YouTube and type almost anything and get a lesson on it. My concept with the Drummer's Almanac is, because there's just such an orgy of information out there, is taking all that information and having a place where you can practice that stuff. It's not just about, here's what to do, now go home and do it. It's open it up here and we do it together. We take you through the entire practice process. And that to me is the gold. That's the difference. That's the thing I could never do with a private student. They would always come to me, I would show them what to do, and then leave it up to them to go home and practice. Next week they'd come in, they'd either have it or they wouldn't. A to C, there was no B. There was nothing in the middle to really help them with that practice process. And of course, I couldn't be there sitting with them every single day. So this website gave me the ability to come in and sit with my students every single day and practice with them. So we're trying to solve a lot of those issues with this new version where it allows anyone to come in and really start from the beginning and then build yourself up to a point where you can really practice and do all the exercises the way they're intended to be done. Anyone that is interested in taking it to the next level and taking all some of these ideas that we talked about here and ideas I've talked about in the past and really developing it and really transforming your playing, you know, try to jump in on that first launch period. Not to spoil too much, but there's going to be some really, really cool limited time offers happening inside of that launch. I will be sending out one more email that will really outline exactly what's going to happen. So please leave your comments below this lesson and let me know what you think. Ask your questions. There's always ways of getting in touch with me through my personal email, through the website, or through comment sections like this. And keep those comments coming because they're just some great ideas are coming out of the whole community. And like I said, it's like the fuel to what we're trying to do with the Drummer's Almanac. So I really, really appreciate all that interaction. And yeah, and get involved. You know, it's time to make a change in your playing. And I think if you want to take the next step, keep your eye out in the inbox and we'll send you something the next couple of days. And I hope to see you guys in the site. So until then, have a great day and we'll see you soon.